Hell yeah. And this time I made sure to share the music. Welcome, everybody. I am sober. I am a heathen. I am the sober heathen. I am Scott. It is March 6th, and it's a beautifully cold day out. And I have been in here going down into the abyss, which is Facebook and people complaining about many things, which led me to do a podcast I've been wanting to do, and it's off the cuff. I have my notes in front of me. I really wanted this one to be a good one. We'll see how it goes. But I got a little bit fired up just in a conversation in a Facebook group about how the food industry is the reason why people eat like shit. The tobacco company creates addicts. And I just thought, wow, that's pretty neat. I can now blame Captain Morgan and Arrow, the producers of my favorite peppermint schnapps. That's why I'm an alcoholic. Had nothing to do with me. They made it, and I drank it. Clearly, they made me go to the store and buy it. If they wouldn't make it, then I wouldn't have been a drunk. It's their fault. What the fuck? Jesus. There is a point, I talk about a lot where it's, most people think it's a choice. You should be able to choose your family and your kids and your job over a substance. And that choice is there in the beginning. And then it gets to a point where I don't believe there's a choice anymore. I think that your body needs it. You need it. And like I said in a post earlier today on the Sober Heathen, check it out on Facebook. There were times, and even the big book talks about it, that I was drunk and I didn't even realize, holy crap, I went and bought alcohol. I got it home. I have it hidden. And now I'm shit-faced all over again. So I do believe that that there is a point where choice is gone. And but anyway, back to the people blaming tobacco companies for smokers and blaming food companies for shitty, sugary crap that's making us fat and sick. Nobody is holding a gun to your fucking head at Walmart and making you fill up your shopping cart with Lucky Charms. And nobody is making you buy a box of Newports and smoking a pack a day. Nobody is doing that. Nobody made me go buy a fifth a day, and by the end of it, I guess it would have been March of last year and the end of 2021, nobody was making me buy a half gallon and 2 to 4 pints just to wake up in the hospital. It felt like almost every single day. So I have nobody to blame but myself. I did that. It's ridiculous to blame companies. And then somebody tried to make the argument that all they care about is profit. And what the fuck do you start a company for if that's the whole point of starting a company, is to make money? They're supplying for a demand. It's ridiculous. So to the point, this is something I came up with. You have, for me, alcoholism. I suffered from alcoholism. Okay. So what I did when I was going through this, I thought, okay, well, you take the alcohol out. You still have the ism. Let me explain. For me, the ism is irrational, selfishness, and manipulation. Okay, those three things I believe, and please comment and tell me I'm wrong, because that's the only way we can learn is through discussion. I'm sure after my comments on that page about how it's not the company's fault that we're fat and smokers and alcoholics, that I'm probably going to get blown up for it. But anyway, I believe that I had the ism before I even tried the alcohol. So the ism, again, I was irrational, I was selfish, and I was manipulative. I would manipulate even when I was first starting getting girlfriends. I liked the attention from girls. So, I'd have a girlfriend, but I'd still kind of talk to other girls. I'd have multiple friends, and when one friend talked crap about another friend, I would go along with it or even feed into it to manipulate them to like me more than the other friends. Trying to think of other examples. Great example of manipulation. 2004, the game World of Warcraft came out, and I wanted nothing more to have the day off to sit and play this game. I had to work. I tried to get the day off. The boss told me no. I called in, got a voicemail from my boss. She said, "You better call me back as soon as possible, and we'll talk to see if you still have a fucking job." Uh-oh. So what did I do? I went to my friend Pug's house, and I don't know if he'll remember this or not, but he does listen to the podcasts. I borrowed a pair of crutches. I took an old doctor's. I actually went to the doctor's office in town here in Coleman, and I got a invoice from a visit that I'd had. Oh yeah, yesterday it looks like a wiener coming off my arm if I sit just right. So anyway, I went up to the doctor's office and I got an old invoice from a previous visit. I took white out and to the date, went to the copy place, Tigner's Copy in Coleman. I don't know if it's still there. I don't think it is. Made a copy. So there's no date on it and they didn't check it. So then I wrapped up my ankle, took the crutches, took the note into work, gave it to my boss. Like, yeah, I was coaching basketball at the time. I said, yeah, basketball practice last night. I rolled my ankle pretty bad. Here's the doctor's note proving that I went to the doctor. And obviously I'm on crutches. And she's like, oh my God, I was so mad at you. I kind of feel bad now, but I was so mad at you for doing that. So it didn't end there. Okay, so I got a couple days off or whatever to play World of Warcraft. For a fucking game, man. Yeah, I don't really regret that. I'm a super nerd. Anyway, so it didn't end there. I would take when I went back to work so that I wouldn't forget to limp, because you don't roll an ankle as bad as I was trying to sell it. You don't just walk normally when you go back to work. I put a cap, a beer bottle cap in my sock, in my shoe, so that when I would step, ow, so I would limp. So now, granted, that was right in the very beginning of my alcoholic days, but I still wasn't a full-blown alcoholic. I could take it or leave it at that time. So clearly, I could manipulate the shit out of things. Selfish. Okay, that's pretty selfish. You leave your coworkers out to dry. Selfish would be me having my what's that called after you graduate, open house. I had that at my mom's house because she was cool, and 90% of my family didn't come because they were either weren't invited or because I had it at her house. That is selfish. I remember as a little kid, I would grab a bag of chips and hide in the closet and mow them down as fast as I could. Didn't even really enjoy them, but I was just doing it to do it. And irrational, man. Geez, everything was a catastrophe. Everything was a catastrophe. If I thought a teacher was mad at me, my anxiety would be through the roof. If I, even my first couple serious girlfriends, it felt like most days was like, oh yeah, she's breaking up with me. Oh crap, she's breaking up with me. She's mad at me. I did something wrong. Baseball, I was a pretty good baseball player. Even then I had irrational thoughts like, if I speak my mind, I'm going to be kicked off the team. That wouldn't have happened. Just so that ism, your irrational thoughts, your selfishness, and your manipulation, those are there, and those characteristics, I believe, for me, when I added alcohol in it to make it the alcoholism, that's when all hell broke loose. Because the alcohol allowed me to not care about my selfishness, and it made me more selfish. It made me not think about the rational thoughts that were created when I was sober. And then when I got drunk, I was even more irrational, like setting a shot of the illegal, the vodka. I'm kind of glad I don't remember what the hell. Absolute, no, not absolutely. Stronger than that. Everclear. Kind of happy that it's hard to remember these things, but Everclear, a buddy brought it back. He was in the military, and I set a shot on fire. Luckily, I spilled it and caught my hand on fire as opposed to dumping it in my mouth. Irrational. Drinking and driving, irrational. I just encourage these things. And then manipulation, holy crap. I had my ex-fiance thinking that I had, severe brain issues, and worried to death that I was, something was seriously wrong in my mind. I mean, man, and she would know what was going on, but I manipulated her so bad that she didn't know if she was coming or going, and that's terrible. Sometimes I get super emotional when I talk about that stuff, and then sometimes I don't. And it's not because I don't care or feel terrible for what I've done. What you have to understand is I believe, once you get to a certain point in your recovery, and especially if you're in AA, they talk a lot about acceptance. Yeah, in counseling, they talk about acceptance, accepting that you can't change the past. And I think that I am doing fairly well in the acceptance part. I can't change it. I wish I could tell her how sorry I am and make up for it. But the only way I can do it is continue talking about it and doing the God thing. Oh, God thing. What? Good, observable decisions. That's my God thing. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but in AA, they try to bring in people who are not religious and say that God can stand for good, orderly direction, group of drunks, etc., etc. I came up with one that makes the most sense for me, and I need to show good, observable decisions. So back to the notes here. The ism, like I said, it'll grow. So your irrationality morphs when you get into the hell of being controlled by this. So the ism goes from irrational, selfish manipulation. The irrationality turns into insanity. It'll be different this time. I can control it this time. I'll hide it in a better spot. I'll quit tomorrow. I'll just drink this pint tonight, and I'll leave the rest for another day. Never did that unless you passed out, man. Then the selfishness is still there, but it turns into secrets. Terrible, terrible secrets and hiding. And I guess that could go along with the manipulation too, because the secrets would be the faking the head issues and the secrets just grow and grow and grow. And then I had it in here somewhere. The manipulation, it starts out as moments, and then it becomes no longer moments. It's every day. To kind of bring it all back again, you remove the alcohol from the alcoholism, the ism is still there. And I think a lot of people have the ism, but they have other avenues of dealing with it. I didn't have any avenues of dealing with it. I think I know a couple people that are pretty close to me that have I wouldn't say they're close to me, but I know them fairly well that have the ism. And then I have a couple people that when the ism pops up, they're able to cope with it because they make a phone call, they go to therapy, or they're able to really sit and process it and talk it out and come to a reasonable decision that doesn't lead them to need something to kind of null the void, but null the ism. So what I got, the I could almost start out as insecurities before I found alcohol. I had a lot of insecurities. That might be a better one. Um, I think insecurities are, they go away when you drink. You know, I don't like the way I look. Uh, I'm insecure about how I come across. I'm not funny enough. I'm not outgoing enough. I'm not brave enough. And so I think I'm right in the middle of the podcast. I think pre-alcohol, the ism would be insecurity, selfishness, and manipulation. And then I think after the alcohol is joined with the ism, it morphs the insecurities into rationality, selfishness, and manipulation. And it just increases the selfishness and it just increases the manipulation. But it turns your insecurities into insanity. Yeah. Thanks for talking that through with me. So, kind of another short one, but to kind of wrap it up, I would never blame the people that made alcohol, the people who fought for the freedoms. When alcohol was, had to go underground for a time in America, the people who fought for the rights and freedoms that we should have to have alcohol and be able to consume it if you so choose. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you should be able to do whatever you want. If you're not impeding on anybody else's freedoms, you should be able to do whatever you want. And we should not be mad at people who produce things that are bad for us. We should look at ourselves and say, why are we doing this knowing that it is bad for us? I know why I drank, because I was insecure, I was selfish. And I posted on the Facebook page today again about the promises in case you missed it. But I put it in word form and typed it out, and I think it's true. Alcohol gave me a lot of promises, or it appeared to give me fulfill the promises of page 83 and 84 of the big book. And it made me everything that I wanted to be, or everything that I thought I wanted to be. And I'll be quite honest with you, if I never picked up a drink of alcohol, then I would have never had the courage to do a podcast of any sort. If I would have never picked up alcohol, I don't know if I would be half as outgoing as I am now. I don't even know where I would be. So I don't, at the end of the promises, it says, we do not forget the past nor wish to shut the door on it. So I don't regret the past. I feel like this podcast can do something. I feel like I can do something in the future as a recovery coach or counselor as I work toward that. No, I know I can. I'm going to continue this war against this shitty ass disease. I'm going to continue the war against the system who doesn't care about the addict and just thinks that throwing them in a cage is going to solve all the problems. And my blood still starts to boil every time I hear that young guard in the back of my head. When I'm talking about getting ibuprofen for my gout, and he's like, "Oh, you mean crack?" It's like, you worthless fuck. But he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand. People in addiction do bad things. I know I'm not a bad person. I've done bad things, but like drunk driving is really bad. And I've done it way more than what I've been caught. And I know that a ton of people listening to this, I can think of one that I could say, but I know for sure I was never drunk driving. That's just a guess. I can think of one person. And there's probably a lot more. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. But we need to educate people. We need to continue the fight. Those are two very important things. And watch out for that ism. Because when you add a substance to the ism, that ism will grow. That ism wants to grow. ism needs to feed. And let me tell you, I fed it an absolute fuck ton of alcohol. And that ism got out of control. I still have the ism. I'm just not feeding it. Just like when you get sick or you have a disease, you have to have treatment. My treatment is the podcast. My treatment is continuing education. My treatment is honesty. My treatment is talking to the people that I love, spending time with my friends, being nerds, buying sports cards, and taking the legit meds that help keep me calm. I need some help with the anxiety because it still gets out of control. So I take what's prescribed. I don't want to take a damn pill, which is ironic. I have no problem chugging gallons and gallons of alcohol on a daily basis. And yet I don't want to fight taking the pills. So I finally gave up on that and stopped fighting. And I realize now that the 3 prescription drugs that I take, that I got while I was in treatment, they're helping. So I'm going to war on an individual basis, and then I do the podcast and I try to get the word out. And then I need you guys to be my allies in this war and like, share, and comment. I think that I have a different way of going about a podcast to all the ones that I have listened to. It might be that I'm less professional when I'm by myself doing a solo podcast like this, but my goal is to be authentic. So anytime that you feel that I'm not being authentic, let me know. I just want to be real. So with that, that's it for today. I still got like 5 hours to fill before my cycle. You probably heard that on there. But before my cycle ends, so maybe I'll spit out a few more of these bad boys. Again, if you made it this long, I really want to do a council podcast. I think it would be great to have an open discussion. So like, comment, subscribe, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. Hoping to be on iHeartRadio. I got to look into that again. But if you did listen, I really appreciate it. And thank you very much. It means a lot to me to have the support. Even one comment here and there means a ton. So thank you. Have yourself a fantastic day. Later.